Hello, Chris Keyack here, steel construction industry technology consultant, and today I'm going to showcase using augmented reality workflows in construction, and I'm going to be demonstrating overlaying a building information model here inside of my living room. All right, so to do this, we're going to actually showcase using Argyle Build, and you can go to their website at argyle.build. And then basically to outline the process of what I did, I first needed to create a model of my home. So I actually had to do some field measuring today. Probably should have done a scan and maybe used an app to do this, but did it the old fashioned way and brought out the measuring tape, got the dimensions, and then I built a Tekla Structures model. Now from there, I exported an IFC file and I actually had to pop over into Revit because Argyle has their basically integration with Revit for publishing models to the cloud. And so essentially what you do is you install an Argyle plugin for Revit, and then basically it creates a new Argyle menu. You sign into your Argyle account, and then essentially what you do is you just select a project and upload the model. Now, as far as controlling what kind of contents and things that you upload to the cloud, essentially you open up the 3D view, and you can control the different display properties and filter things out of being published by doing that here within the view properties in Revit. All right, now what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be showcasing using a hands-free environment with the Microsoft HoloLens2 headset. Now, when you look at the images on the screen, what's the difference? Well, when you're working in mixed reality or a hands-free environment, basically you have a headset on and you can see the 3D digital model overlaid in the real world, and you can in fact even interact with it. And you're going to see that when I go through the video today. Over on the right-hand side, you're looking at more of like a pure mobile augmented reality environment where basically I am seeing the digital model overlaid in the real world, but I have to hold like an iPhone or an iPad or a mobile device in my hands. So this doesn't give me, full freedom to actually interact with holograms and interact with the model and just kind of be thinking about what I'm seeing versus actually having to hold a device up in the air at the same time that I'm trying to investigate and review the model. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at how this works.
All right, so I'm here inside my living room and I've already actually calibrated the viewpoints, the alignment points here. And basically you can see the model. And so sort of like what I was describing before is what the Argyle Build team specializes on is that they show the outline so that way you're not kind of obstructed with actually seeing surfaces. And rendering overlaid in the actual model in the building. And so let's see, when we come in here, we can see there's the corner. Now watch this, I'm going to go over here to my menu, and I'm going to go to Settings, and we will go to Alignment, and we will go to View Anchors. Now, you'll see here that I've already placed these anchors into different locations throughout the the building here or the model. I've got one here. So I'm trying to find really good basically corners that are really easy to align with the BIM model, aligned with physical objects in the real world, just so that way I can get the best alignment. But the way that I've noticed that this works is when I go to different locations, what'll happen as I'm navigating regionally, the HoloLens and the software kind of knows where I'm at, and it will basically take the anchors and look at all the anchors and then kind of adjust the scale, location, and orientation automatically based on the anchor that I'm close to and sort of how I'm looking. So I notice that when I'm farther away, sometimes the HoloLens will move something off for these particular lines here and there, but when I get closer, it actually will adjust itself and then align back up. You can see here that I actually added my shelf in a little bit after, but hey, that's actually pretty darn good. I must have got the length a little bit wrong, but the alignment's pretty good on that wall corner there. From what I'm seeing on the HoloLens, the video might not completely reflect it. Now, I did have an anchor point here, and for some reason I'm not seeing it I'll go back to aligning real well here when I'm zooming into this area. But let me go back out. You can see the window, and we have this anchor point. And so again, I don't know if you saw it, but when I got close to the anchor was recognized. The corners of basically my fireplace seat here, it started to adjust and align. Then I had one other one that was sort of like trying to do the corner there, and then also in that step corner there. So again, the model, it like relocates and scales itself based on the anchor, and then you see that it gets way more stable the closer you get to that anchor for whatever you're trying to look at in that particular situation. So there's basically the kind of a video of it already aligned, and then I'll do a quick demonstration of showing how you do the alignment itself. Okay, so I'm going to showcase a little bit about how anchors work. So essentially when I first start in here and I'm entering the project, the model might look sort of towards your upper left. And what's going on there is if I actually go to my menu on the left hand, go to the dollhouse, essentially what it's going to showcase here is sort of like a table that's got a miniature size model on it, and it helps you navigate where you want to go in the model. Now the floors will export and the levels will export from Revit. I only have that first floor because I created that, so that way there was a base here for me to work with. But essentially what you can do is you can use the icons here to rotate left or right. If when your model comes in it's not perfectly aligned with essentially where your actual building is. So you roughly want to start with that left and right to get the actual 3D model somewhat aligned with your actual physical space. And then what you do is you will come in here and you will just grab basically the anchor icon and roughly go in the model where you're at. So like I'm about right here, which means I am somewhat here in the model right now. Now you can see here that things are now off in space. Like, you know, I'm seeing the tables way out and the corner there is definitely off. And so what I can do next is I'm going to actually close the dollhouse down, so we can just tap turn that off, and then I'll go to settings, and then there's an ability to choose this alignment option. And I have the view anchors on like I was showing in the previous video. There's no green circles here or spheres, so nothing is there. So we're just going to tap new anchor. That will create a new anchor icon here, and then you just tap and grab. And basically what you're doing is you're trying to find a spot basically in the building information model, right? So your digital Revit model, you're trying to find something and attach it to like a corner there. You can say attach. And then basically the second step once you attach is you're actually trying to move that corner up into the real world. Now this was basically too far down before, so I'm going to say detach. And then this is basically starting that process over of attaching to the building information model. So the first step here, this took me a little bit to figure out, but basically the first step is essentially you are trying to find a coordination point or location point in the digital model. Then you attach. Then it's like expecting you to move that model over to a physical point that corresponds to that here in the real world. And then once you've got that, you go ahead and say confirm. Now it recognizes that spot. Okay, so one alignment point is not enough. Essentially what you need to do is go to different locations throughout the model and the building and basically add additional anchor points and locations. And then what I've noticed is when I had this all set up, what it'll do is it'll scale, rotate, and sort of adjust things based on your position. The other thing that it does is it will actually remember this, right? So these anchors are stored for this model. So let's say I update a new model. So like if I come in here, go to model. Here we can control what things we're actually seeing in the model. So like what objects, if it's native Revit objects, you can control that here. And then this was an IFC file that I referenced. So you turn on the links, but then there's this update model option. So what that'll do is if you get a new version of the model, it'll basically download that geometry from the cloud. It will then update basically the outlines you're seeing here, and then you don't have to redo the alignment. So that's what's fantastic is once you kind of set this alignment up, it's basically there and it's done, and you just put the HoloLens back in, come out to site, go look at the next day's worth of work that's actually happened on site, compare that to the building information model, and then you verify it's good to go. You don't need to be doing the alignment at the beginning of each day. So another thing here that they specifically have done outside of kind of doing the anchors here is they intentionally have done basically this the outline, but you don't see the shaded rendering of the building information model objects. And the reason behind this is so that way, first of all, when it's really nice and bright and bold like this, it's easier to see out outside, and so you can actually kind of walk through the job site and see things a little bit more clearly. But the other thing too is that it's meant to prevent any obstruction. So if there was any kind of shading and things like that, it actually starts to kind of occupy your mind and your eyes a bit, like with, hey, you're looking at digital assets with a lot of surfaces and shades compared to just, the real world and focusing on that and just looking at the outlines of the digital assets overlaid with the real world. So either way, I didn't do multiple alignments just for the sake of time, but that kind of shows you the process, and this whole remembering of the anchors and then it adjusting itself based on the position that you're going throughout the job site is what allows it to do larger projects and not have to do so many different anchor points over and over and over again as you walk throughout the job site. Pretty cool stuff.
If you found this content useful, please subscribe to our channel and press the alerts button to be notified when we upload new content.